There's just something about that tune. I'm just in tune with. I just love it.
What an intro. What an intro right there.
I love it. Hi, Pearl. Welcome to Pearl. How are you doing?
Good, good. Thanks for having me, Andy.
No problem, no problem. Yeah, fantastic. So welcome everyone to the e-commerce expander sequence podcast live. If you're catching this on the podcast, clearly it's not live. And this is live at the moment on Facebook and YouTube, I believe. So that's pretty exciting on its own. So I've got a really, really exciting partner of ours, really special guest. And we've been working with Pearl and those at First Choice for many, many years now. So I'm glad to say hi to Pearl and welcome to the show.
Thank you, Andy. Really excited to do this with you. Yeah, we've been together for a while, so it's coming full circle.
Indeed. So, Pearl, just for the purpose of those that don't know you or First Choice, give us a little run through about who you are and who you work for at the moment. All right?
Sure. That sounds great. So, hi, everybody. My name is Pearl. I am the Chief Operating Officer at First Choice Shipping. And what we specialize in is helping sellers that are looking to expand to Amazon's global markets with the logistics. So we work together with Andy, who helps with the VAT registration. We will help then with making sure compliance is in check, the clearance is done properly, representing the sellers with the importer of record, and then ultimately with the actual shipping, because Amazon actually does not provide you with shipping options when you're looking to ship internationally. So they'll recommend you working with a partner like ourselves. We actually are the #1 recommended provider by Amazon when you're looking to expand globally. Yeah. So so definitely we could help you from A to Z, hold your hand, really make it comfortable, and like that you could really successfully expand to Amazon's global markets like the UK, Canada, etc.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for joining us. So for those listening, this is probably going to take a few different parts. So we're just going to do a little bit about Pearl to start with, how she got into the e-commerce First Choice sort of piece first. Then we're going to move on to what's happening in the shipping world. And then we're going to move on to what's happening in, expanding to Europe, that sort of stuff in e-commerce as well. So Pearl, let's probably some of the questions I've not asked you probably before, which is great. I think that's going to be perfect.
Yes, so, I like it that way.
Let's go back right to the beginning. What was your journey into e-commerce? How did it first come about? What did that look like for you?
Yeah, so my first introduction to e-commerce was we actually had our own Amazon business many years ago, where my husband and I were, we're very creative people outside of shipping. We love creating things from scratch. So for example, with these gift baskets, it was something that we started doing literally like in our basement. So we started creating Christmas gift baskets where we literally would come up with a design for the box. What do we fill it up with? And, either chocolates or nuts or, different candy. And we then decided we would sell it on Amazon, because Amazon at that time was like, anybody could launch a business if you do it the right way. So we started selling for Christmas, Valentine's, Easter, Mother's Day, Father's Day, and it went really, really well. Like the first 3 years, like we definitely, we hit 7 figures. And the issue was that we started really feeling what other sellers, unfortunately started feeling, where, review manipulation started happening, where other people were trying to, take over what we were doing, or competitors came on and they were trying to write negative reviews about our stuff, which it was too much for us. Like, we're creative people, but like it was, the help that's out there today, like there's an agency for everything now, right?
Yes.
You hire somebody for PPC, which we were just not good at that. You can find so many people that are amazing today. And it wasn't something that was available for us. We were very good at the logistics of it, getting the product from China, let's say like the baskets and stuff like that, the candy and the nuts and stuff. We were great at sourcing that, even like from overseas, how we're going to be able to bring down the cost as much as possible. But then when it came to the actual back end stuff, like on Amazon, like the reviews and the advertising, which became like, that was the only way you're going to be successful. It wasn't just about the product anymore.
Yeah.
Then it was like, it was too much. And we ended up selling the business. And I would say that's where we get a lot of our knowledge. And that's why we get the seller's perspective, you know, and that's where the passion comes from. Like, what else can I help you with? And, you know, when we talk to sellers, it's not just about the shipping. It's about what else is going on. What recommendation can I make? What are you struggling with? Because we've been there. We get it. And, you know, it was heartbreaking having to sell the business because oh my gosh, we work really, really hard. But, you know, now looking back, obviously, you know, you can always reflect back and say, okay, this is why it happened. So you know, luckily enough, we could say at this point, this is why, you know, we are where we're at. Like, my husband's also in logistics, but a different kind of logistics field, service, really. So yeah, now looking back, it's been a blessing, but then it was difficult. So I get where sellers come from, and that was my introduction to the whole world of e-commerce.
Fantastic. Where did that come from? What did you see, like, other people doing e-commerce, and you thought, hey, that looks like a good idea, or was it you? How did that piece come about?
Everybody does e-commerce now, Andy.
Well, I know that. You know that.
Where we live, it's either, you know, like when you get together with your friends, it's like either you're doing Amazon or you're doing real estate. It's like you got to choose one. So it's like, okay, Amazon, you know. We loved creating something, and it was, you know, Amazon does give you the opportunity. It's a huge opportunity, you know, put yourself in front of an audience of millions of people. But yeah, it was difficult. It was very difficult.
Yeah, and I think that you know, is identifying where what the bits where your skills are, but also the bits you enjoy, because actually, you know, running an Amazon business is actually, there's lots of skills involved, and you have to enjoy all of it, or you need to outsource those pieces. Right.
So that's why I'm very into delegating now, right? Yeah. In my role, it's like you're not the best at everything. And it's never even possible to be that way. And you just have to know what your strengths are. And I love coordinating stuff like that. That's why I do what I do. And I love what I do because I bring a bunch of people together. My leadership team, we bring people together that are amazing at different things, and just we delegate, and that creative energy starts flowing with these type of things. And of course, I then rely on the ones that have the talent to do certain things, which, you know, in the past I wasn't, you know, I didn't have the luxury of that. So, you know, right now we're definitely lucky. We have a great team, and, you know, you can actually see behind me what my team looks like, you know, that now I see myself zoomed in a bit. So that's my position, integrator, right? And then you see all the different departments that we have and how everything comes together. But, you know, that's essentially what's happening here.
So let's go from one to the other there. Like, so you've sold the Amazon business, and you're now thinking, right, what am I going to do now? Or had you had a bit of a crossover period anyway? You'd already sort of teed up and lined something up.
Yeah. So while that was happening, I wasn't able to, you know, be full-time dedicated to that and, you know, pay our bills. So I was actually working at a car leasing place, out of all places. That was a nightmare. But that's why I mean my current position. But I used to do car leasing. So if you needed a car, that's what I did.
Brilliant.
So I tell you a lot about cars now.
Yeah, so I didn't know you'd done that. That's brilliant. How long did you do that for?
That for like about 2 years.
Brilliant.
About 2 years.
What do you think that taught you different to what the Amazon business taught you? Because you learn something in every role, don't you?
The main thing I learned is that kindness is so important. So I think I learned a lot about kindness over there. So, but not in a good way. The car leasing business is like, it's a mafia business. It's a very rough kind of business. And people think about shipping that way as well. So when I got into the shipping industry, it was like, how can we change the game? And that's what we're known for, our service. You call in, there's always somebody kind on the other line that will help you through it, and we'll do whatever we can to always help you. And I think that's what we did in terms of like changing the game. Like this is a very service-focused business. So yeah, I would say I definitely learned that. Maybe some sales skills, but Yeah, not so much. I don't know.
So how did you go from there to there then?
So I was miserable there. I was absolutely miserable. We worked out of this like trailer. It wasn't like this normal office setting. It smelled terribly, and it was awful. And my husband heard me complaining a lot, So he picked up one of the local papers and he went through the classifieds, and there was an advertisement. They're looking for employees for First Choice Shipping. So he actually went and sent my resume in. I had no idea. He sent my resume in.
Excellent.
And I got a phone call a few days later from Sal, our CEO, saying he saw my resume, and if I want to come in for an interview. And I was caught off guard, but I played along. I, very quickly realized, okay, this is probably what happened. And I went down for an interview. And actually, one of his good friends worked with me at that time at that car leasing place. And luckily enough, he recommended, highly recommended my, work ethic and etc. And so I started from the ground. Let me tell you, I started as regular entry-level worker, customer service, and slowly worked myself up from there. But that's how I really got to know every single part of the business and really understood the customer from my experience in the past from that Amazon business, and everything really clicked from there.
Yeah, and was First Choice Shipping doing the Amazon piece, the e-commerce piece at that time?
Yes, they were only doing the UK, and on a much smaller scale. And then, with time, we were able to build the business up to, where we're at right now.
Yeah. So how long ago did you start?
So I'm with the company for almost 7 years now.
Wow. Lovely.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Nice. So 7 years. And over that period, obviously there's been some big changes just in the fact that there's millions of more Amazon sellers than what there were 7 years ago.
Sure.
The whole industry has changed in 7 years. We all know that. Just by going through COVID alone.
Right.
So over that period, your role has obviously changed slightly as you've gone through. So when did you start doing the Chief Operating Officer piece?
So I would say that very quickly after I came in, probably like a year after I came in, somehow the team started seeing me as like that mother figure. And so, it really just like progressed from there. I would say like 2 years in, I officially got the title of Director of Sales and Marketing, but then it just took on its course on its own. It was very apparent that, it wasn't that anymore. It was much more than that, because I was involved with every single department.
Yeah.
And then about, when did I get Chief Operating? I would say about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Like 5 years in.
Yeah.
4 or 5 years in. Yeah. So that's when we officially, changed the title to Chief Operating Officer. But I would say for the last 5 years, definitely, that's been what I was doing.
Yeah.
And, we just became more professional. So we gave it the right, the right title, really. But yeah, we started out as a small little company in Brooklyn, and we just, we became more solid and more like according to the book. So
with that, I just want to touch on that. So that what you're alluding to there is the professionalism in the business, as as any business does, as they mature and grow and they bring on more clients, they professionally grow. What do you think has been probably the thing that's helped make that that catalyst to happen? Is it the people or the systems or the processes or the ethos or the education? What do you think is the single biggest driver that's driven the professionalism that's given you the excellent reputation that you guys have got?
Right. That's a good question. I would say our core values. Our core values is something that we, very strongly hold on to, being very principled, honest, transparent, kind, things like that. Right. So when you're principled and you stick to your founding, rules, or your founding systems, then automatically you want to make sure that you have those SOPs written up, which is our standard operating processes for each department. That means that every leader actually does what they need to do and not, taking on something that they're not supposed to do.
Yes.
Or, work falling onto them when it's not supposed to be theirs. And, that just makes a toxic environment, because obviously nobody wants to be overworked and overwhelmed, and, it's resentful, really. You start resenting other people around you. Some people feel like I'm doing more than others. So, having those very clear job descriptions and accountabilities is something that was very important to us. So that's something that we've been working on very strongly for the last, 2 years. And I would say that, we're getting to a much more comfortable place where, everybody has clear job description, their accountabilities, and then we have something everybody has their own KPIs that keeps you on track and, just it motivates you. So I would say, it all started from our core values of, all these things that are very important to us. And, for us, leadership, we very, very much believe is going to end up being, the example everybody will follow. So it's how you behave. For example, we don't allow phones at any meeting, no phones. And it's just a principle that we hold on to. And what ends up happening is the rest of the team sees that, and the rest of the employees see that, because I know a lot of businesses struggle with, why is everybody on their phone the whole day? And it's something that we've been struggling with as well. It's like, I'm sure by you in your warehouse, especially in warehouses, it's hard to nail it down, right? Because the warehouse is big, and how do you fix that problem? So
it's dangerous. Yeah, in a warehouse environment, someone on their phone is dangerous. Forklift comes around, they're on their phone.
Right.
There's no phones.
Right. Exactly. So we realize that, it's leadership that needs to show, give that example of, like, we also don't have our phones. So I'm just going to show this. I actually got myself a flip phone. This phone literally is talk and text. And I have this just in case, if the babysitter or, Annie needs to reach me, she can reach me. But I don't have my smartphone. I have two phones now. You're going to see like a million messages now. But the point is, this stays in my room. And actually, it's going to start staying in my car as well. I'm not taking it into my home anymore. I need to have those boundaries. Otherwise, it's like, it's just too much. It's too much.
So there's a couple of things I want to pick up on there, because I think there's some really important parts there, that as you go in that thing that we've been talking a lot about recently here and in other people I've been talking to, is that systems and process. And you touched on there, the operating procedures, the job descriptions, the KPIs. And you can't grow a successful business without people having those in place, to know the boundaries that you've set them and they set themselves in order to grow. Because otherwise you take on all these weird and wonderful things, and you're like a headless chicken running around, which is crazy.
Exactly. Yeah, there's no way for accountability without a system in place.
Yeah.
And I had this one department that was, something that we were developing, and one, the one that was, she actually got promoted as a manager, and we had this conversation where she was overwhelmed and she needed to see, what can we do? Should we hire somebody else?
Yeah.
And I was explaining to her that as long as I don't see the analytics black and white, let's build a system where we see the analytics. We have a CRM now. We were able to do it like in a few days. And as long as we didn't see what is actually happening, where is the help needed, we're not going to hire. We need to be very clear on what we're hiring for. And what was interesting is that we built this analytic, and we saw very clearly that it's not necessarily an issue with what we thought it would be. Because, for example, emails that were coming in were not a lot of emails at all. So there's probably something in that department or the way things are being done that is not right. So, it was very clear to her. I was like, do you see why we didn't hire somebody? Or do you see now why I want to see data? Data is so important.
Well, you can make knee-jerk reactions, can't you? It's like, let's do this to solve that.
Right.
And actually,
I used to do that. I'm a victim of all that. So I learned from my mistakes. It was like, let's hire somebody just to make us, more flexible. That's totally not the case. You need to first get to the core issue. What's the core problem? Then let's figure it out.
Yeah, that's great. So let's talk about shipping at the moment. So talk through currently where you can ship from to and what that looks like, and perhaps let's talk about from there. We can then go into where the biggest issues are right now.
Sure.
Because I know that everyone wants to talk in direct representation into UK and Europe.
Yes.
So we'll get to that. Don't worry, everyone.
Okay, great. Sure, let's talk about it. So basically, our specialty is shipping by air. That's our specialty. Shipments that are not necessarily that large, shipments that could get there really quickly. That's our specialty. And the lanes that we specialize in right now is mostly from the US out. We do from the UK in. We do as well from China to the US. And what we're working on right now is from China to every other marketplace that Amazon has as well. So it shouldn't just be from the United States. So from the US, we do, let's say, from the United States to Australia, United States to to the UAE, United Arab Emirates. We do to Canada, really to any Amazon location except for Mexico and Saudi Arabia, which we're going to have very soon. So anywhere Amazon has an FBA location, that's where we're able to ship, because our specialty is shipping into Amazon's FBA locations. Not yet, those small packages B2C where you're shipping directly to your customer. That's not where our specialty lies. So that's as far as lanes go.
Yeah, fantastic. So it's shipping into those Amazon centers. What, out of all of those different countries, what's the easiest to ship into?
The easiest I would say is the UK and Canada.
Okay, interesting.
Canada, yes. The UAE has certain restrictions. Japan has a lot of restrictions. We can help, go get past that, but there's procedures and processes in order to do that. The UK and Canada would be the easiest for sure.
Okay, fantastic. And with those sort of shipments, Amazon sellers only, or e-commerce sellers?
It's Amazon, yes. Our specialty right now is to help Amazon. I would say 95% of our clients are Amazon sellers.
Yeah, and obviously some of those sellers sell on other platforms and everything else.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah. But they're all the biggest on Amazon. People will tell you clearly that 80% of what they do is on Amazon. And
with all those people shipping, where is the biggest outside of the US? Which is the biggest shipments going to? Is it Europe? Is it Japan? Is it Australia? Canada? What's the sort of biggest market that people are shipping to right now?
So before Brexit, the UK has been the biggest one.
Yeah.
Right now, it's between the UK and France, Italy, and Germany. So we launched a new service where we're shipping through the Netherlands into Germany. So that's something that's picking up the pace is definitely picking up. So I would say the UK and EU is definitely almost, it's slightly larger than Canada, but Canada is a very close second.
Yeah. Okay, and that's interesting. So let's talk about that new service. I think that's really important for people to understand. So before we get into that new service going through the Netherlands into Germany, let's talk about why you're not going straight into Germany.
Yeah.
Because people will be like, well, I can just ship straight into Germany. And we'll both say, good luck.
Yeah, that's a great point. So I'll tell you, we've done our research through the summer, right? We knew that come January 1st, we're going to be able to ship in directly through Germany, because we've studied it, we've been prepared, we had all the checklists in place on how to successfully do that. December 31st, when sellers started shipping directly into Germany, we saw very quickly this is not going to work. It was almost like a light switch went off, where all of a sudden the German government, German customs was like, oh, so we had a list of 12 things. Oh, actually, we also need this. We also need that. And the next shipment needed another thing. It was impossible. And it was clear that the carriers and customs were not on the same page. And this was just not going to work. So we put a stop to it very quickly. And what we recommended for the time being, until we figured out another solution, was sellers to go through France and use the pan-EU option, or they could go to Spain or Italy, and that has been working well. The issue is that Amazon's infrastructure was always set up for Germany. Germany is the biggest market for them over there, so they have the best presence over there. So the goal of getting into Germany was definitely a big one. And sellers that have been trying to go, through Germany, aside from, let's say, the checklist and all that stuff that I've been mentioning, customs, you could literally wait a month or 2 or 3. I love going on to these Amazon Facebook groups or the Telegram groups. Just let's see what people are actually experiencing, or what are issues that people are actually facing. And it's very clear that everybody's facing the same issue. Yeah. So our business development team has worked to come up with another solution that is working amazing so far. So we launched it about 2 months ago. We did a beta test program, and it's been working very well. And now we opened it up for the public, where basically we are shipping into the Netherlands. It's clearing over there. It's staying on the same carrier's truck, and then it continues into Germany. So what you're avoiding here is having a clearance happen in Germany. So you don't have a list of all those crazy things you need to, provide for customs. So that's obviously a huge benefit. And it's actually very quick. Within a week, it's already in Amazon's FBA location in Germany. So you're talking door to door. And it's very reasonably priced. And again, Germany is definitely the place that people are trying to get to. We've seen that very clearly. So yeah, we're really excited with this option, and so far it's working very well.
Fantastic. I'm really pleased with that, because so many people are having problems with indirect representation, and, like, as you say, a whole list of everything else that when you think you solved one thing, the German customs department came up with another 20 things that you thought you'd solved that you hadn't. And we've been fighting exactly the same, going from the UK in. Everyone's in exactly the same boat. There's no special treatment if you're in the UK. In fact, if you're going from the UK, I'm pretty certain you got penalised for it. But there we go. That might just be my own personal opinion. That is not to be put down on record in any way, shape, or form.
I feel like you might have a good point there.
But anyway, okay, so that's amazing. So that's a great brand new service. The first choice is operating that any seller can capitalize on right now, getting their stock into Germany. Now, that's just air at the moment.
Yeah, so that's just air. It's going to be like that for a while, especially now with the whole inventory and restock limits.
Yes,
that's just a nightmare, and we definitely see that, either a 3PL like what you're offering, or small parcel is going to end up being the way to go, because Amazon does not want their long-term goal is they don't want to be a storage facility.
No, exactly.
They want you to ship in small amounts more often. Yep. So we've seen that, our service is going to become much more in demand because of that.
Really?
It's just fast, small amounts more often. And the fact that it's fast allows you to do it, more often, because otherwise, it doesn't check in fast enough and the cycle just continues. So so far, that's how we perceive it, and we'll see. Nobody really knows how this is going to continue.
No one's got that silver ball with crystal ball with Amazon, have they? And I think that's really important. That IPI score, the storage limits, all of those things. It's 30 days or 40 days of stock is technically what they're saying at the moment, isn't it? It's 40 days of stock you can get in, but so an air shipment is absolutely critical in order to get the stock here quickly, because otherwise what's going to happen is you're just going to run out of stock. Yes, all right, you can use buffer stock in our warehouse and everything else, totally get that. But the reality is no one's in a position to do that.
Absolutely. And I do want to add one thing. You said the 30 to 40 days, right?
Mm.
I don't know if people know this, but it's from when you actually create that shipment in Seller Central, not from when your shipment checks in, which is so important. Sellers should know they should not create any shipment until they actually have their shipment ready to be shipped into Amazon, because this is how they're calculating the restock limits as well.
I mean, that's a great point right there. Yeah, that's really, really important for people to understand, because people do a shipping plan, and then it takes them 2 weeks to sort it out.
Right. right? And then Amazon considers that your sell-through date, and it's like, ooh, it's painful. It's painful when people start realizing that.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, fantastic. Yeah. So e-commerce in Europe right now, what's your sort of thoughts? What are you seeing from a shipping point of view? What sort of trends are you seeing? Analysis, data?
The way we see it, obviously, our specialty is international, global expansion, right? So the way we see it right now is the importance to diversify is so high. Like, for example, sellers that are selling in Japan right now are having a really good experience because they don't have inventory limits. And, or even if you are, dealing with a country with inventory limits, the fact that people are able to send to other places and not just rely on the US or just the UK, where you have that tight limit, you have, let's say, 5-6 marketplaces that you could send your inventory into. And that ends up becoming a way that they can actually continue, right? So for us as well, we've seen a change in people's shipping patterns. But the fact that there are different marketplaces that people are shipping to is what keeps us going. So if we were just specializing in shipping, let's say, to the UK, or we just specialize in shipping to Canada, it would have been a nightmare for our company. So we could very clearly see with sellers that are, really diversifying their portfolio, that it's saving their business. So we definitely, are biased towards it, but we recommend wherever you could expand your business, you should definitely go for it.
Yeah, I think that's really, really important. One of the key things we're seeing is that expansion, but integration into the market. So, where a lot of sellers in the States, they will sell on Amazon and other platforms and other avenues. When they come to Europe, they should do the same. It doesn't have to be specifically just in Amazon. There's a whole lot of other marketplaces that are even bigger in some countries. They should do, because it helps integrate and create a much better experience for sellers. I think that's really, really important. Fantastic.
Great.
Okay. So anything else from you that you're seeing right now that you think people should be aware of?
What they should be aware of? That's a good question. I can't think of anything in particular, except for, again, I do believe people have to, get more growth-minded and open-minded about what they're doing and not stick to one thing only. I agree with you, like what you said about Amazon. There's other opportunities as well. There isn't just Amazon out there. You could do multi-channel with Amazon and or use a 3PL to expand to other marketplaces as well. But, it's scary. It's honestly very scary. I can't imagine what it feels like for a seller to wake up in the morning and get that email with restock limits where it completely cripples you. I try to call customers all the time just to see how things are going and just, again, hear, their perspective on things. And really, it has hit sellers that, are doing 100 million on Amazon also. Yeah. And it's like, literally, they did a removal order, let's say, to take out slow moving stock, and then their restock limit was shut again. And it's like, how? Yeah, how do you do that?
The amount of removal orders we're getting into our warehouses is unbelievable.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Wow.
Every day we're getting 10, 20, 30 pallets of Amazon boxes arrive, returns, unfillable inventory, overstock, long-term storage, everything else, just shipping it out, like get it out. It's like a mass evacuation almost.
Wow.
It's crazy.
That's crazy.
We're all part of the beast, if you like, and we're here doing things like this is here to help educate sellers so that they're aware of what's going on.
Exactly. Yes, I think that's a good point that you're saying. Education. Education is definitely very important. Listen to the professionals, hire the ones that could actually help you instead of figuring it out on your own. Those are some of the mistakes that I've made in the past where you think you could do everything, you'll save money doing it that way, but then, it doesn't always work out. Or I would say most of the time it doesn't work out that way. So yeah, there are people out there like you that do really good things for Amazon sellers, and people need to, learn and see what people actually do and educate themselves on that and see what they could do to continue progressing in their business.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, look, we're coming to the end here. Pearl, if people want to get in contact and want to start using air shipments from any Amazon warehouse around the world,
yes.
Clearly you're the best person for that. How do people get in contact with you and make that happen?
So they can email me directly, and I'll be happy to introduce them to the team. My email is P for Peter, A for Apple, my first and last name, at firstchoiceship.com.
Straightforward and easy. And we'll put a link in that. When this goes out, we'll put a link somewhere down there as well. So that should all be good. Fantastic. Well, excellent. Pearl, thank you very much for joining us on the e-commerce Expander Secrets podcast. It's amazing to have you. It's amazing to be a partner of yours. We thank you for everything you do for e-commerce and for global e-commerce experts. And we wish you an amazing day, and we'll talk again soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thanks for whoever's watching.
Thanks very much, everyone. Stay safe, and we'll see you on the next episode next week.